the difference is when you're trying to be fun and when you just are fun, right? You got to have everybody on the team, the leadership team. Like when we do confirmation day, it's a fun call. Money will come as long as, how are we going to get there, right? We want to make sure we want that whole team is, yeah, you got to be fun. You got to, life's too short.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the next episode of Behind the Franchise. I'm your host, Paul Ehlinger, the founder and CEO of Flamel AI. And this week, we're lucky to have Mark Amery here with us from Puddle Pool Services. So, Mark, maybe if you could, just give us a brief intro to yourself.
Sure. Thanks for having me, Paul. So, huge Yankees fan.
It's like
just
during the playoffs, too. You've got the shirt on in the middle of the playoffs, you know?
and this just happens to be like I don't even watch baseball, so I don't know. This is my Friday. So, um, anyways, I get back on track. Thanks for having me. Yeah, just a little bit about myself. I am based in Vancouver, and I have been in franchising for uh, 10, 12, 15 years. Just a while. I think you kind of lose track after 5 years, right? It's all the
Sure,
same.
yeah.
We have multiple, founded and grown with our team, multiple home service brands in Canada, and Puddle is the one that we have brought to the U.S. and super excited for it. And yeah, that's kind of that's the premise of myself, and that makes sense.
Yeah. Always like to wonder, too, how'd you get into franchising? I feel like everybody's got a different way of stumbling into it.
Yeah, for sure. How did well, I had one home service brand. It was not franchise based, and it was just grew it till about 5 or 6, 7 technicians, and then I exited that one, and I was at like a corporate retreat or one of these learning sessions, kind of thing, and
Sure.
there was a gentleman. He was started to talk about franchising, and his name is Jim Tree Living. He's like a huge, he runs Boston Pizzas, and I'm sure you know
Yeah.
who he is. He's like a legend. And I just kind of really resonated. I just really like that story. I don't know exactly what he was talking about. It's just that whole, he started talking about franchising, and the conversation kind of morphed that way. So,
Yeah.
but it just really, really ticked my boxes, and it really got me going. So I thought, my next one that we're going to grow it through the franchise model.
Mm-hmm.
And we did that, was able to grow that to 50 something units, and so on and so forth. So I just love that space. I think we're all kind of the same. As once you get in it, you either like it or you don't, right? So for me, it
Yeah.
was really, I wouldn't do it any other way. I really enjoyed it. So
Yeah, I agree. I'm a big process guy myself, and there's like nothing more of a process than a franchise where it's just like everything is based off good processes, you know? Like
that's
that is
it.
how you get successful. I love
What about
that.
yourself?
And
How did you
so
get in?
myself, man, I would say we found ourselves here, right? So we launched our company at the end of 22, and our like claim to fame at the time was we were the first company to have generative AI within a social management tool. And
Wow.
that's cool
Yeah.
for a little bit, right? And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden,
Yeah.
everybody else is talking the same talk and walking the same walk. And so we
Right.
just had a few franchisee clients, right? And we were working with them, and we
Okay.
always like to be as close to our customer as possible. And as we started learning about the problems faced between like national brand, local marketing, kind of the data transfer and transparency between those two, we just found a really interesting concept, and we dove right into it. And we've been lucky enough to keep growing with some really cool brands with that. But yeah, that was it for us. We just followed the problem, like what problem can we solve most effectively, and that's what got us
Yeah.
here.
So
Um,
cool.
yeah, you never know. And
Love
now
it.
everywhere I look, I find out every freaking business in the world is a franchise, right? Like it's one of those things you don't know till you know.
It's taken over. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Exactly. No, I
Yeah.
love that. And so, you've built a couple franchise brands now. I'm curious, and you've scaled them as well. Like, how do you think about building that brand up front versus when you've got 10 units versus when you're thinking about 100 units, right? Like, how, over the
Yeah.
course of the life, how do you think about brand and how does it change for you?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. I don't think I've been asked that before. That's a good one. I usually myself, so I can't say it's just myself. There's myself, and then we have the same team that's been together for over a decade. So
That's awesome.
it's kind of a look at where do we want to go, and then can we get there with it, right? So with Puddle, we want to be at 500 locations. Can we do that in
Yeah,
Canada? No, right? So
right.
ultimately, that's kind of the goal. Is the U.S. obviously bigger, more space, and that kind of thing. there's areas where everybody and their mother owns a pool, so that also helps. So we
It
kind of
does help. Yeah.
we, yeah, we look at the end game and then kind of work backwards. So yeah, so that's that, and then kind of break it down, like, kind of reverse engineer it. So
Yeah, that makes sense. And curious, maybe what's been an unexpected turn for you, where the brand's evolved in a way you maybe didn't expect as you were, projecting out 10 years to the 500 unit mark. Like you found something,
yeah,
you were like, oh wow, this works. Let's pivot into this a little bit. What kind of changes have you made as you've built these brands?
yeah, and I think that's I think it's probably with all business, I mean, especially in franchising, because you have so many moving parts and
Yeah,
you have so many different owners. Everybody is, I am is equal to the gentleman in Florida or Seattle or
absolutely.
Texas or Ottawa. Everybody's equal. So when you have all of these minds working together, and I think this happens like weekly. It's
Yeah,
not, or at least monthly. It's not this is what we're doing and let's follow quick. And I think that road to excellence, or whatever you want to call it, to end game, that's the fun part, is going, and you'd have your ups and your downs, but then you have like we have some owners that are just killer. Like the ideas they have,
yeah,
or we would never come up with that, right? So I think you have
yeah,
to you're going in as a team, and I think as it kind of morphs and grows, there's not one specific thing, because it's all the time, and it's all good, because
yeah.
somebody will come up with an idea and you go, you know what, that
I would have
is
never thought of.
a killer idea, and then you hear other
Yeah,
things and you're like, that is crazy, right? But
yeah.
it's as long as everybody's heard and everybody has the same voice, I think that's really important.
Yeah, it is really interesting, like talking to a lot of franchise brands, the amount of control they give down to their franchisees with respects to innovation or change. It
Yeah.
varies so drastically, right? Like I'm
Oh, does
curious,
it? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
if like for you, it seems like you're really intentional about it. Were you always like that, or when you first started, franchising a brand,
Always.
were you like, hey, this is the baby, I want to keep it this way?
No, I think, and yeah, I think, I don't know, that could have been a long time ago. There might have been a point where you did that, but you learn really quick that you're going to get
Yeah,
nowhere if you do that. Right? I think anyways, right? I shouldn't say that you're going to get nowhere, but you know what I mean? Like, I
sure.
think
Yeah,
I think it's human nature too, to be like, I started, this is my baby. This is where I want it to grow. But yeah, control, I guess you have to have some type of control, but it has to be equal. Like, I look at it as
yeah,
Puddle, I'm the equal owner as everybody else. And you got to kind of think like that, for me
yeah.
anyways, or you're just going to kind of go nowhere.
Yeah, no, it makes a ton of sense, as
Yeah.
well. And obviously, you've been successful with all your stuff, but like in building these brands, I always love to talk about what'd you mess up the most. Like, what's the thing you looked at? And you said, "Oh my god, how did we make that decision?" Like, always curious to hear the
Oh,
failures because I don't think the downside gets talked enough. And you're fighting problems every
for
day of the week. I'm
sure.
guessing. So,
The
like,
goods, the bads,
what's the
yeah.
biggest face palm?
Um, I think, like, obviously whenever you start, right, whenever you're first launching,
Mm,
um, like I took our first brand, so I've launched like 4 home service
yeah,
brands. That first one compared to Puddle is like apples and oranges, right?
yeah,
Like the first one, you're you want to make sure you have the right people in place, right? You want to make sure, as far as franchise partners, but it's hard to get those first 5 to believe in your concept, because they believe in you, right?
yeah,
Um, So I think that's always a challenge. That's probably a challenge initially, right? But um, I'm kind of bouncing around here. Like, if I look at where we are now with Puddle, where you have, first year we had 12, we're into almost the end of year 2, and we'll be at close to 30.
yeah. That's
The
awesome.
growth there is a lot easier than the first one. So I think the one to answer, sorry, I'm kind of bouncing around,
Yeah,
but the
yeah,
first one, to answer your question, is the slap in the face is making sure you have the right people and not just taking a person with a check. I think that
sure.
has to be for the franchisor. So I think, and we've all done it where you maybe years and years ago, where you're, oh my gosh, I look at that person, probably wasn't a good fit, right?
Yeah.
But
At the
so I
at
think
the time, the
that's
check
kind of
looks
been the
pretty good.
biggest. Yeah, that's kind of the hardest part, would be that.
Yeah. Do you
I don't
find
even know if I
yourself?
really answered the question there.
It feels pretty good.
Yeah,
I mean, it's directional. I think especially now when you think about it, like building
yeah,
out, it is building a team, right? And I'm assuming your
yeah,
selection process has gotten tighter, better, more effective. Um,
yes,
you know what do you optimize for in that? I know, like, I was watching some of your previous podcasts, you talked about grabbing life by the cannonballs in one of them. Like,
Yeah.
You've got this attitude about you. Do you optimize for that in the franchisees you're working with, where it's like, hey, we want you to be aggressive go-getters, that kind of take this thing and run
Oh
with it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's and like even coming down to the selection process, myself, I'm a part. I usually take the first 2, 3 calls, like the
Oh,
intro call. Like I like that gets my juices going. I would say that's
yeah.
the juicy gootsies. I like that part, right?
Yeah.
You get to know them and right off the hop if they're kind of what you're looking for, right? So I think
Yeah.
that's for like I think that's so when you have your regional meetings or your annual meetings, if I know if I have all of the best players and they're all like person A is the same as person B, they're just going to mesh well, right? And that's kind of what
Yeah.
process is. So yeah, definitely the selection process is tight. And how do we
Yeah.
do that? I could tell you, Paul, but I'd have to tell you.
Well, don't do that. I guess you have to come down and find me in America down here. Um, that's awesome. Curious, So I've just been like researching your brand a lot the last like week and so in prep for this. Like, it's fun. Like, you have a fun brand. It's whimsical. It doesn't take itself too seriously. Like, I think you
Oh,
just put a
thank you.
LinkedIn post out where you like announced a new location and you've got just a shirtless guy with crazy hair like screaming
Oh
on it,
yeah,
right?
that's
Like
Tyler. Yeah,
yeah, like how
that's one of the
intentional
marketing
are you
guys.
guys? I love that. I love that. I love that. Like, how
Yeah,
intentional is that? Like, you guys are trying to be fun. You're trying to be different. Yeah.
yeah. I think it's the difference is when you're trying to be fun and when you just are fun,
You
right?
are.
Like
Yeah,
it's
that's
you
fair.
just gotta be like. I'm not saying I think I'm fun, right? But you gotta have that attitude.
Sure.
Everybody at like you gotta have everybody on the team, the leadership team. Like when we do confirmation day, it's a fun call. It's not
Yeah.
all suit and tie and what do you expect and like this is like money will come as long as how are we going to get there, right? We want to make sure we want that whole team is you got to be fun. You got to life's too short not to have fun. So
I fully agree with you,
yeah,
and I think like the last 10 years, it's shifted pretty drastically. Like, people are bored of like B2B, right? They're bored of just like being a part of the
yes,
machine, and they
yes,
want to like do interesting, cool things with interesting, cool people.
yes, for sure. Yeah, want to we're going to go into business. Let's make it fun, right? Let's have a blast.
Yeah, we always talk about it where on our team, it's like we make our own fun. Like, this is our journey. We're building this company. And it's like it
Yeah,
may work, it may not work, but we sure as shit can have a good time doing it while we're doing it?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
I'm
Yeah.
curious, with the marketing being, you've got your the fish logo that's a cartoon. Have you seen any downsides to it, right? Like, do people maybe not take you as seriously at first look, or have you seen anything like that come across negatives taking that kind of angle on it?
No, not really. With all the brands, that's the first thing we do is logo. We usually take it and we let it sounds funny and juvenile, but we let kids look at it. Like I have 5 kids, right? So I usually take
Yeah, yeah.
kids, their friends. I say, "What do you think of this? What do you think?" They'll be like, "Ooh, that's weird." They're like, "Oh, that's cool." And as soon as we can get them to smile, right? And then they're like,
Yeah,
"Oh, that's cool. That's kind of the fun. We want that like childish kind of play, right?" So like of all of
yeah,
the brands that we've founded and we brought from zero to hero all have fun, funky logos. Like we have a gorilla, we have a squirrel, we have a worm, we have a so on and so forth, and now our fish. And it's just that's I haven't had anything negative. I'm sure the competitors have said negative things about us, but whatever.
yeah. Sure. Yeah, it doesn't matter
Yeah,
if
so,
you beat them. It doesn't
yeah,
matter, right?
yeah. You're either in
So
or in the
you're
way. So
yeah, you're building a zoo. Then is what it sounds like.
that's it.
Like
Yeah, that's yeah,
I'm
yeah.
assuming you might start another one of these someday. What animal is next? Do you think in the
Oh yeah,
repertoire?
this is it.
Yeah.
This is like with Puddle, I'll die here. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah, I think this is like our growth plan is 500 plus units, and it may sound
Yeah.
crazy, but we'll get there. We're gonna get
You
there
can
just
only
about.
get there if you try to get there, right? You can't get there if
That's
you're
it.
not
Yeah,
trying.
that's it. So yeah, no, I'm this is the last. Yeah, this is the last one. This is it's a fun. Like it's super. This is probably the fun. It actually is the funnest. It's super fun and
Yeah.
in that cool world, like even down to end user, the like even the technicians in the field, nobody's angry around the pool when they're sitting around
Yeah.
the pool and having it. You know what I mean? It's just a nice lifestyle. So it's
Yeah.
less stress.
Yeah, no, I mean
Yeah,
it's a great way to approach it. I think it's fun.
yeah,
And curious, like obviously unconventional brand a little bit. Like, what kind of unconventional marketing tactics have you guys used as you've, grown this brand to really make
Yeah.
a difference, amongst the competition?
Yeah. So that's another good question. Well, so I, so we have our standard practice, right? We have our standard SEO,
Yeah,
digital,
you're
PPC,
running
social
SEO, you're
media.
running PPC, you're
Yeah.
running local marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. We do that from the head office portion, like we have our in-house. We call
Yep.
them the Tylers. We have T1, T2, T3, right? They run all of those.
Are they
We're the
really all
social
three named
media.
Tyler?
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
That's
I
kind
mean,
of
we go.
crazy.
I know that's like T1, T2, and they're awesome, right? I tell everyone before, I said, before you meet them, this is the most confusing part of Puddles. Who the hell am I talking to, right? Um, so it's kind of, and it's not meant in hierarchy. It's just that's how they are. But anyways,
Yeah,
it's
sure.
yeah. As far as I think that's the part I love about franchise is having your owners, you know, I want to try this. Like we have our standard digital, like I say, but there's also other guerrilla marketing we do. Like
Hmm.
we have a wrapping bus. We have a gentleman that just wrapped 35 buses for the start of next year
Hell
to
yeah.
run for the
That's cool.
season. Those types, like there's so many that we have in the buckets for them to use, but there's always somebody thinking of something new. And
Yeah.
that's the great, like joining the Santa Claus parade, but having the big mascot come out and having waters, whatever it may be, and you're like, wow, that's great. And some are like, wow, I would not do that, man. That's crazy, right? But if you want to try it, let's do it.
Yeah, let us
And you
know if the
never know.
ROI is there. The ROI is there.
Yeah, it's there, right? And is it kick ass? Yeah, let's do it. And then but I think that's so there are a lot of different types of things that we've tried and our locations
Yeah.
have tried that have worked and not worked and so on and so forth. But it's yeah, I think it's and I think that's why everybody probably likes franchise if they're listening to the franchise partners and they get that feel. So it's
Yeah.
I'm getting all hopped up again here, man. Yeah, it's
No, you're good.
yeah,
You're good. I'm always just intrigued by, like, obviously we're in the technology space, and so one of the
yeah,
things we've been doing is we're just trying to optimize for as many in-person interactions we can create as possible. Like, the more
cool.
you can
Yeah,
sell in person for us, like, the way easier. So,
yeah,
like, we're going to the Emerging Franchisors Conference in Austin next month, and we're hosting
nice.
a Cowboys and Cocktails event where it's like we're
Yeah,
not selling at all. We just got the best roper in Texas to teach people how to lasso. Like,
awesome.
partially, we want to learn how to lasso.
Yeah, where do I buy tickets? Let
Are
me
you
in.
gonna be down there?
No, but I'll go.
Oh, hell yeah, dude! I'll get you one for free. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I'll hook you up.
Perfect. I would love it. That would
Yeah,
be
it'll be
great.
cool. I don't know. How many times do you get a chance to be in Austin and learn how to lasso from Texas people? I don't know.
Yeah,
Not many.
never. Yeah, once with you. It'd be great
Exactly. Cool, cool,
for
cool.
sure.
And then,
Yeah, that's perfect.
as I was reading through your brand, I think, and honestly, just talking to you, it rings true. But, like, you guys talk about customer interaction a lot, right? And I think home services brands, like, in the movies, it's always like the grimy plumber comes in, the shady cable
Yeah.
technician. Like, it
Yes.
seems like you focus on that a lot, and I think that's part of your brand, right? You're building your brand around that. Like, talking to that a bit.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. I think even like you, as owners, if you're an owner, they don't really know you. They don't know me. They know Susie in the field and they know Jimmy in the
Yeah.
field. That's like and that's our front line, right? So we have to make sure
Mhm.
our front line is prepped. They know what they're doing. They're interactive. They're able to shake a hand, and so it's really really important. I think in home service, probably in anything, probably even restaurant for sure, right?
Sure.
You want to make sure that that person is personable and can go out and shake a hand. That's even part of like the onboarding, and our owners, not necessarily the owners themselves, but the team that you hire. What does that look like, right?
Yeah.
And if they say, oh, I don't, whoever, that's a red flag, right? We want somebody,
Yeah.
the team I want to build is going to be like me, or they're going to be outgoing or be able to. It's not always about sell like that. That doesn't get you anywhere, right? I think the
Yeah.
frontline staff have to be personable. So, yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
Massive. Yeah.
Curious, like, as you onboard a new franchisee, like, what kind of support training do you give them on that? Because I think hiring's, like, not
Yeah.
something people do, right? Like, it's not a thing a lot of
Yeah.
people have the opportunity to do, and it's a hard thing to do. And so, like, how do you then train them to be good at hiring and optimizing, for technicians that do, or your frontline workers, I don't know if you call them technicians, have
Yeah.
have that personality that you guys want to optimize for?
Yeah. And that's we spend probably half a day during their week-long training that they're at head office for to get rolling is employee training and retaining, right? You have to train and retain them. So yes, you have them, but you have to be able to retain your employees and nurture them. And so it's all, it's all teaching them that what's important to the employee or to the tech or the front line, right? So the tech is like, it's time and money, right? That's usually in the home service, it's time and money. So just little things, like, are they able to take the truck home? Yes, we want them to take the truck home, right? Because if you make them go park somewhere 20 minutes from their house, you've just added 40 minutes to their day. They have
40
to go
minutes
pick it
to
up
their day.
times 5 days, and it adds up as a technician. Like, this sucks, right? We want them to, those little things, like incentives, like teaching them to how to incentivize them. Not just sell this, get this, right? But there's we have 7 points of being able to receive tips or to grow that business, right? And really, it's really like, we have systems where they can onboard a technician from 0 to hero in 5 days, sometimes 6, right? So, and that's not from a pool background. It's from anybody in, that worked in a restaurant. Two top performing technicians come from fast food. So that kind of person, So I think it's it's really important to kind of have those systems in place. Yeah.
No, it makes a ton of sense. I'll say it's working in your marketing. It's evident as I was reading through your materials. So it's coming out strong.
I wish I could take the credit for that, but that'll be the tease.
Shout out to the team.
T123. Nice one. Yeah.
Exactly.
Nice one, gentlemen.
Exactly. I was also reading about, and it's pretty interesting. You've got this, the partner that you can go and get every house that has like a pool permit, and so you can kind of seed a territory, with, hey, you've got this many optional pools in there. I was thinking through as well, what other kind of partnerships like that do you leverage? Like, the one that came to my mind was like, are you partnering with local real estate agents? So when they sell a house to somebody with a pool, you can say, hey, here's your pool service guy if you want in the area. Love to learn more about that.
Yeah, no, great point. Yeah, it's the partnerships we just call that the high level, right? That'd be for the owner to establish and to kind of nurture. And it's really important. So we have your real estate agents, your property managers, right, that manage multi-units, partnering with swim schools, like these various different types of brands that teach kids how to swim, right? Sure. They usually rent out a pool at an area, and the pool has to be dialed in, right? They can't have the kid showing up in his green and full of moss and junk, right? So we partner with them as well. Other ones moving into are like Airbnbs.
Oh, interesting.
For those around, because when you go to rent a place for the weekend, if that hot tub is an A+, you're going to get a 1-star, right? That's the last. So there's, I don't want to give away too many, but there are a lot of partnerships, even with our vendors and being able to install pools, right? We have a system now where the training is 4 days, and our teams know how to install full fiberglass pools.
That's crazy.
Electrical in the backyard, so it's very, very systematic. So on that level, there's about a dozen of them. So really, I think that's probably the most important, one of the most important parts. So,
I mean, it makes a ton of sense. A fun question: you've got $100. You're just starting Puddle. How do you market that brand with $100?
6-pack of beer and no, I'm just kidding.
You could probably get the first person. I think you could do something.
What's that?
You could do something with a 6-pack. That's 6 people you can invite somewhere.
You could get pretty creative. Yeah, no. What would you do with $100 and you had nothing and you had to start? I think it would be, you'd have to. Ooh, that's a good question. $100. I don't know if that would be enough, Paulie. But what would you do with?
Maybe 1,000. Let's give it 1,000 then.
1,000. Okay. So do I already have everything set out, like the logos? And all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. This is just pure marketing budget.
Yeah, online. Yeah, it would definitely be. Yeah. Drum up some PPC. Yeah, that would be.
Yeah.
I would suggest. I'd have to ask the T's. They would know best, right, as far as that. But it would definitely be marketing. If you don't, you have to do something different, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. I always like that. You never know what people are going to say when you ask that question, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think I have to really think about it. But first, you have to really get some marketing drummed up. So
thinking about the differences between how you do franchise development marketing versus kind of your consumer focused marketing, it's always interesting to me. I've always thought more brands could do more specific franchise development marketing. Like, a lot of it is like, hey, I get pinged all the time with LinkedIn messages of like, hey, you want to buy a franchise? And I'm like, I don't know you and I don't know anything about your brand, right?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
how do you think
Wow.
about the differences between those?
Um, yeah, I don't like we don't use LinkedIn. I use LinkedIn more for just like we met on LinkedIn, just relationships. Like, hey man,
Yeah,
how
yeah,
you
yeah,
doing? Kind of thing. We're in the same space. Do you want to chat? Or
yeah.
that kind of thing. Just kind of shoot the shit. But I think as far as marketing, again, this would be one for the Tylers. How it is like apples and oranges. How do we do it? Through social media, I think is a large one.
Hmm.
Um, because I think we can really hone in and find our team members and who we're looking for, or franchisees, because you can really dial it into the type of person and what their interests are.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important. I like the franchise shows. It's, I'm that, I know like our guys like Steph, if she's involved in that, she's very personable and you get to
Mm.
shake the hand. So I think you mentioned before, that end user, you can't beat a handshake, right? Like if you and I
Yeah.
are in person and we're talking, like right now we've got good vibes going, we're rolling. It's, you can tell right in person if you're at a franchise show, if they're just a good match or not, if they're
Yeah.
not so much serious, but it's also hard at those shows because it's like drinking from a fire hose. You have 100 different brands,
Yeah.
and some are
Yeah.
aggressive. You're like, whoa, right? But
Yeah.
so yeah, I
Yeah.
think in person and online as well, we do a mix of everything.
Yeah, yeah, no, that makes a
Yeah,
ton of sense.
yeah,
And I always love to talk about too with marketing where there is this blend as you, especially as you grow, right, and you get bigger and bigger and bigger. You inevitably kind of become more corporate. Like the team gets bigger, you have to become more
yeah,
systemized. How do you like maintain? I think you guys call it the puddle spirit, but like that joie de vivre,
yeah,
right? Of like the feelings that you have, how the
yeah.
franchisees feel as the system scales.
Yes, I think it's involvement, and that's totally true. Because when you're at like two franchises compared to 50, it's totally different. We've
Yeah,
been able to maintain the same leadership team forever, right? And
yeah,
it's all the same mindset, and it's very. I think everybody on our leadership team is pretty laid back to some point, and we all kind of know each other. And as we bring in a new team member, that's like that selection process. I think it's having that interaction with all of your franchise partners is like we meet they have a weekly meeting that they meet with one of the puddle coach. Then they have a monthly meeting which is a roundtable with everybody. We have a
yeah,
growth hour which is a business focus based on a certain topic each month. And we have a social corner. So there's a lot of touch points each month. So there's as you go and grow, we just say, oh, here's so and so and so and so from Timbuktu and do do do, right? So and they just
yeah,
become part of the thing. So I think it's a little different than just say, here it is, boom, okay, we'll see it regional. 6 months later, there's no interaction there. It's not very family based.
sure.
And not to say it doesn't work, right? But it is. I think that's the hard part for maybe the franchisor or the team to make sure that you maintain that. If that's the way you want to go, where you have
Yeah,
that, stay as a person, right? Like like when it's, here's a good example. When we have 50 locations with the last brand, I still want to remember number one's kids' names, or you know what I
yeah,
mean. It's hard
yeah,
to do, but I should, as a person, I should know that if I'm true. I don't want to be
yep.
like, sorry, what's your name and how many kids you have? That's bullshit. That's like what an insult. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
if it's
Well,
family,
because they've
you should
invested
know.
like their life into your business, right? Like
Yeah,
it's
and
you've got to.
totally. And it shouldn't be so transactional. It shouldn't be, here you go. To a point, you need the legals and all that fun stuff, right? But
Yeah, sure.
when all that's said and done, and then they're in the system, like you got to know them, right? Or at least to
Yeah,
know something about them true and not referring to what's on your phone. Oh, that's Jim. He has two kids. Like that's
right.
shitty. So
Yeah. I always my like litmus test for that is always like if a customer of ours, we have a texting relationship where like I can just
right.
text them and be like, "Hey, this is happening." Because I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Once we've sold a customer, we're on the same team now, right? Like my success is
Yeah.
your success is my success. Like how do we grow
Totally.
together? And I think you've
Yeah.
just got to. It's intentionality, right?
That's it. Yeah. I think and it all comes down to selection and who you let to be on your team and who you need. And, and I'm not saying when you get to 100 plus units and two, like, of course you have to have structure, right? And I think it's just the
Absolutely.
type of person within that structure is to kind of, who is it? There's always the goods, the bads, and the uglies with everything. And I'm not saying that way to do it. Like sometimes there's, downfalls to that too, right? Where somebody
Yep.
say, oh God, I want this to be a little more corporate. It's like,
Yeah.
don't worry, we're corp. We know what's going on, but again, we can have fun doing it. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And I think process is great. I love process. You can't let process
yeah,
get in the way of culture, right? Like
totally.
they
Yeah,
are codependent on each other.
yes,
Um,
yeah,
that's
totally.
interesting. Curious.
Yeah,
So the Vision's 500 units. How do you how do you get there? How do you market this brand to take it from the 30 plus units to the 500 units over the next 10 years? I guess I don't know the timeline. It could be 2 years if you're really going for it. But yeah, over the next period of
no,
time,
yeah,
how do you envision
yeah,
your marketing strategy changing and growing?
yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. It's how do you know, you don't like I wouldn't want that to happen in 2 years, right? I think you have to have
It
growth,
would
but
be
you have to have,
aggressive and it would cause a lot of things. Yeah,
yeah, you got to have controlled growth, right? You probably implode with that. That's a lot of moving parts. I shouldn't say that.
yeah,
There's a brand that's moving pretty fast now and killing, right? They have structure in place. They have
yeah,
teams in place, right? So I think um, how do we get there
yeah,
through marketing is just keep doing what we're doing, and as you go and grow and scale, you got to put the funds back into marketing, right? And again,
yeah.
finding that responsible marketing now with with AI and all of them. That's your world,
A little bit
right?
familiar
It's
with it. Yeah,
yeah, you kind of know, yep. But like everything's always evolving, right?
yeah,
I think it's not, like it's when we first started, it was put an ad in the newspaper, right? I don't even think they have
right.
newspapers anymore. It's like I tell my kids about newspapers, they're like, sorry, you did what? They're like, yeah, we come deliver to your house. They're like, sorry, what?
Somebody showed up to your
So
house.
yeah. Or you're like, where's our phone book? They're like, what is a what? Like sorry, you
Yeah,
did what? Or even explaining how you would get to this or to downtown somewhere. Well, you have to take the map book, open it up, get the street, cross reference. You want to, that's like
yeah,
you got to kind of evolve, right? So I'm totally aging myself, but it's you
sure.
gotta. I'm 47, so bear with me. But with those, you got to kind of roll with the times. And I'm sure something like like Elon Musk. Now you turn on the I don't say you turn
We
on the
just called
TV,
a
but
freaking rocket. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy.
yeah, and now there's robots. He's got the Tesla
Yeah,
robot, right? Like that's
yeah,
awesome. Like, maybe they'll start doing our marketing. I don't know, right? But you gotta.
yeah,
Everything's evolving so quickly, and I think our growth plan. We have our set
sure.
plan and how I don't want to get too much into it, but yeah, that's so. I think you always got to be able to evolve and be very open minded. So
Yeah. No, I mean,
yeah,
I think you nailed it on the head. I've got to ask, obviously, like, do you guys leverage any AI? Like, how are you thinking about that as a home services brand?
that's a Tyler question again. As far
Yeah.
as I know, they've started to integrate AI into our CRM. Like we have our own CRM we've
Yeah.
built over the years, and we use that and using AI and into part of it's good and part of it I like and I don't like. Like I know in some of the comments that get hidden, AI will generate a we were at your pool and da 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 da, right? And
Yeah. Yeah.
part of it's okay, but part of it that it takes away that personal touch, right? It's actually to be able to say, "Oh, we were here, Mr. Smith, and did this happen?" And did that, that kind of thing. So, I know it's in the works, and I know we've dabbled in it, but so to answer your question, I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure we
Yeah.
will. Everybody else
No,
does, right? So I'm sure.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
always curious, but it's what's interesting. I think about working in franchising too is you have a lot of like people based businesses, right? Like they're not always the most tech forward
Yeah.
businesses, and I think what we're seeing is there's some of them that I would say are even like leapfrogging standard digital transformation, right? Like they'll go from not
Wow.
doing kind of anything on one thing, and then all of a sudden they're using like an AI tool for it, and I'm like, you guys just skipped 20 years of technology in the middle there, and so
Wow.
it's
Yeah.
interesting. I mean, there's obviously a big hype wave with it right now, but I think we're also getting deep enough into it that you're starting to see like real use cases come out of it, right? Where you can actually show value, show ROI, and I think that's when it becomes compelling to a lot of more service
For
based
sure.
brands
Yeah.
too.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's yeah, it's interesting, right? Again, being your world, you would know better than anybody, right?
Mm.
Like, how can it help, and what do we do, and that, for somebody like myself, that's not my department. I'm a huge believer in not like you need to hire the right people that understand
Yeah,
that world, right? That's not.
yeah,
I think I know what I'm talking about, but I don't know what I'm talking about. I'll be the first to
yeah.
admit,
That's
right?
fair.
That I'm not in that world. I understand the graph,
And
but it's
know your
we need
lanes,
someone
right?
that
Like there's big value in
exactly.
knowing what you know.
Yeah, we would need someone like yourself, like
Yeah,
Paul in there, right? We need that's Paul's specialty. So maybe we'll have,
Yeah.
maybe soon it'll be the P&T team. You never know.
You never know. Yeah, you never know. That is, hey man, if this is a
Well,
lead into a
smart, Paulie.
job like 3 years
That's
from now,
it.
that'll be impressive.
It would be great.
um,
But yeah, we need somebody who would, and how can that help us? You know, and I'm sure it doesn't. I'm sure you can use it for some, but does it truly help us grow? And
yeah.
will it help our team members, kind of thing. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's so funny because I think everybody, especially we do AI. They look at us, and I think it's all that. I always talk about it, and
yeah,
again, it's because I'm a process nerd. I'm like, hey, it's not create something at the end that's always going to be the value. It's like, how can you take all the random hard shit in the middle that people have to
yeah,
do day to day and just automate that, and
yes,
make that easy for them, right? Like, just make people's lives better, and that's the answer
yep,
to what we try, that you should be trying to
for sure.
do.
Yeah,
Awesome. Jumping
yeah,
into it, if you're cool with it, I love to ask some like
yeah,
quick hitter questions where it's like, hey,
yeah,
give me the first thing that comes to mind, kind of 15-second
sure.
type thing. You cool if we run through a few of those?
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. First things first. What's a decision or a belief that you've held at one time in building your company that was not popular but turned into success?
Sorry, can you repeat it? One.
Yeah. So like, you've made a decision in your past, right? That was probably an
Yep.
unpopular decision at the time, but then it came to be that it was the right and successful decision that you made. Can you think of an example of one of those?
It would probably be, I would say, text with iPads or text with handhelds.
Yeah,
Is This is this is not that space. Making it more tech driven, where we said, oh,
yeah,
we're going to run the CRM. Rather than go do the pool, they say, yep, it's done. Now we're going to integrate our app into the system of the text. We're going to be using the handhelds, the iPads, their phones to do services. It's not really that space. And initially, the techs in the field are like, sorry, what are we doing? And then now
yeah.
it's evolved to that. So that was definitely a game changer for sure. And now they can run it from anywhere. So that would have to be number one.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Which franchise brands do you look at right now that you do not own that you think, damn, they're doing an awesome job? It looks like a great brand.
Rolling Suds.
Yeah, he
Yep.
kills
That
it
guy's
on his personal
that
marketing
guy's
as well.
awesome. Yep.
Yeah,
I don't know him. He's like,
I don't.
I
Yeah,
follow him on LinkedIn, so he's fun to follow. Looks like a fun
yeah,
brand. Not
yeah.
saying they're better than ours, right? Because they're not. I'm just kidding. but he's
Cut that.
yeah, I
We'll
think
put it right on
he's
the front of this.
yeah. No, I think they're doing a great job. So that's why when I referenced before, I said growing that like they are growing really quickly, but you look behind the scenes, they have structure, right?
Yeah,
Um,
he's
yeah,
got a great
I
team
think
behind him.
I think they're great. I like the men in kilts. I just like
Yeah,
I don't really. I just like their vibe. I like their guys in kilts and gals in kilts. It's just a fun brand, right? I think that's.
yeah,
I think they're. I think it's. I think that's a fun brand. But yeah, there's a. Yeah. Sorry, I went
yeah.
into two there. I know I'm only allowed one.
What's something people would be surprised to learn about you?
Whew, surprised to learn about me. Sometimes I think on a personal note that the amount of kids I have is usually number one,
Sure.
and that they're all girls,
Yeah.
like 5 girls, 1 year apart of
Oh
each other.
wow. Oh
22,
wow.
21,
Yeah.
19, 17, 6. That's kind of the like, sorry, how many kids do you have? And they're all girls. That's probably the biggest shocker all the time on a personal level.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's fun. I guess, man, a question coming from that: how do you balance, that and building successful businesses? That's a lot of life happening all at once.
Yeah, it is. It's like they're older now, right? So they're
Sure.
self-sufficient.
Yeah.
But when they were young, when they were like, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and
It's
it's
a different
how do
game.
you it's a different game, right? Like kudos to my wife. She's I think behind every good player there's the coach, right? So she's the
Yeah.
coach. But I think how do you juggle? I think it's just time management. Being in the home service space does give you a lot of freedom. It gives you a lot of
Yeah.
so that's why I like this space. Like I've been to 99% of their soccer,
That's
lacrosse,
awesome.
dance, whatever it may be, and the recitals. That those little things are what matter. Those are what, and
Yeah.
that's important to me, is to be at every one of those. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of where that's how do you balance it? You just balance. You just make it happen.
You just
Right?
do it.
You got to put
Yeah.
what's important to you first. So
Yeah. No, I love that.
Yeah.
What keeps you? Whoa, wow. Excuse me. What keeps you up at night? Right now with Puddle Pool, like what's the biggest challenge you're facing right now?
Yeah, I think it's when the girl, you say this because that was like last night. You lay in bed and then you try and turn it off, but you can't, right?
You
And then
can't. It's
like
just in there.
it's in there. Like we had a great round table with everybody yesterday, and then you start to think about what everybody says, that, oh, this is great and this is good, and I didn't like this. I think that kind of thing keeps me up at night, is making sure everything's okay with everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. That's my full set of
Yeah.
questions. I always at the end like to give
Awesome.
you a chance, pitch whatever you want to pitch. If you've got a new fresh territory open that you want to talk about, like floor is yours. Anything you want to talk about.
Oh man. Yeah, if it's for you, reach out if that's kind of what you're looking for, home based, reoccurring revenue, easy peasy, run it from your smartphone. You could actually run the business anywhere. Like we have
Yeah.
we have one of our owners. I just realized he's going away for 2 months overseas, right? And he just brought up, yeah, and everything's already, so having that ability to that. But if this is, I'm sure you can just go to puddlepools.com and take a look at us and see if it ticks some of your boxes. Great. And if you want an intro call with anybody, we can certainly set that up and see if it's kind of your thing. So
Awesome.
about it for me,
Awesome.
Paul.
Well, I appreciate
Yeah.
that. Mark, thanks so much for your time today. It was a super fun
You as well,
conversation,
man.
honestly.
That was fun.
Yes, I appreciate that. And then, yeah, everybody, thanks for listening to Behind the Franchise. Stay tuned for the next one.